Hey, SEGways!
It's that time of year where I get to make a nice, easy video. Side-Eye Guy's top 10 debunks and reactions from 2024. Some crazy stuff went down this year, so let's take a little stroll down memory lane and revisit some of these insane moments.
Wait a minute, what? Away we go!
Number 10. Andrew from Proving Demons. Andrew went real ghost hunting with a ghost killing salt gun, and it gave me one of the best laughs I've had all year. I enjoyed it so much that I covered the second video he did using the salt gun. Say what you want about Andrew. No, seriously, say whatever you want.
Can I nominate this video for some kind of award? It deserves something. That was it? Please stop. It's killing me.
Oh, it stopped. I guess it worked.
It fucking works.
Oh, come here. Just to give these guys an idea of just how powerful this is.
Oh, yeah.
This is a leaf on the web.
Stop. I'm actually gonna die. That's badass, dude. It's an old dead leaf on a moldy old web. So what you're saying here is the gun is about as powerful as getting flicked.
Number 9. Celina Spooky Boo's lies. Annoyingly, I've covered my fair share of Celina Spooky Boo videos, and the more I watch of her psychic medium bullshit claims, the more it got on my nerves. So I was pretty happy to finally catch her out on her lies when she joined Call Me Chris on Sam and Colby's Hell Week series. Lying is one thing, but the sick shit she decides to lie about made for very uncomfortable viewing.
In the broiler, and they started it up, and then he used a shovel. But I think, like, whatever's left is, like, buried.
It's times like these that Celina needs to spend more time learning in school than making shit up about school for clicks and likes. Your standard boiler gets to about 60 to 70 degrees Celsius. Despite what scriptwriters like Only Murders in a Building will tell you in their most recent season, I love that show by the way, and my guess is Celina likes it too. Your standard boiler, even for a large building like a school, doesn't get anywhere near hot enough to incinerate a body, even the body of a child. In order to do this, you need a specialized furnace that can get to around 800 to 1000 degrees Celsius to successfully incinerate a body. As far as I'm concerned, this is proof that Celina is making all of this up as she goes along, like she always does. To lie about kids getting SA'd and their bodies being incinerated in a school boiler is so fucking gross. And guess what? There is no proof whatsoever that anything she has said about these children is true. Nothing. Number 8. Ghost Club Paranormal. These ladies are mental. Just mental. This might well have been one of the most insane videos I've ever watched. I can only really use one clip for my top 10, but the sheer amount of times they made outrageous claims and spiraled down into some crazy rabbit holes. I could end up making a top 10 just from this one video. Jade from Ghost Club Paranormal has had a few things to say about me since I made this video, so I'm sure this will not be the last time I end up visiting her channel.
So we just went outside for a little bit just to kind of get some fresh air. And Mandy was doing some, what was it you were doing, just like energy work on yourself?
Yeah, I was just doing some energy work to try to remove whatever that thing did to me, is try to remove some of that out.
When she was doing that, there was a few lights over here that just all turned on at the same time. And then a few seconds later, like 2 massive lights turned on over here. Like all the lights started turning on. It's like whatever energy like you put into the ground went straight into those lights. That was so insane.
Okay, honestly, I think I'm about to lose my fucking mind right about now. Are you fucking serious? Even if you were sincere in your ridiculous ridiculous beliefs in this bullshit. Lights turning on and off about a 10 miles distance from where you are obviously has absolutely nothing to do with whatever expelling of the energy that you think you're doing. It's not all about you two. The whole area doesn't revolve around your stupid little games. Jesus Christ, this is so dumb. And I mean, this is really dumb. This might be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen since starting this channel. Grow up, the pair of you, and stop talking bollocks. Jesus. Number 7. Yasco. Yeah, I have been a bit mean to Yasco, but the reason I'm adding him into the list isn't just for my debunk, which was a pretty decent one, I've got to say. Because of the joint effort from all the other debunkers who have done videos on Yasco, Yasco has now changed the way he approaches his videos. And he now adds a disclaimer declaring that his videos are for entertainment purposes. And this is great. So all the time Yasco keeps doing that, I have no need to make any more videos on him. Like this one.
Nora, is that you making my camera blurry?
No.
Who the f is that?
That was me.
That was me?
So we hear the spirit talker say Nora, and shortly after that, we hear it say, that was me. And don't worry, Spotted Ghost, I'm not going to be knocking your precious spirit talker app today. So let's listen to when the Spirit Talker app says Nora and that is me side by side a couple of times.
Nora. That was me. Nora. That was me. Nora. That was me.
I haven't edited the sound of these clips whatsoever. What you are hearing is with the volume up exactly how it is on Yasco's video. As far as I'm concerned, when the Spirit Talker app says that is me, that is clearly overlaid.
Nora. That was me.
There is no reverb. The sound quality is so much clearer from when the Spirit Talker app says Nora. Almost studio quality.
Debunked.
So Yasco repeats in his own words, that was me, as if he is repeating what he's pretending to hear from the Spirit Talker app. So Yasco knows full well, on location, how he is later going to fake this, when he is editing his videos.
You lying son of a bitch.
Number 6. Cody and Satori. 2024 started off with a huge Katori obsession. So many channels were covering them, and the paranormal community just couldn't get enough at the time. Meanwhile, I just kind of remained silent on the whole thing, until I didn't. This is my one and to date only Katori video. I explained why I was disinterested in covering them for so long, but I am glad that I ended up making this video because I got to admit, I do think it's one of my funnier videos.
Girls?
Oh, he wants both the girls.
Oh. Cody's just taking the piss here. His delayed just comes across as, oh yeah, that's what I meant, you dumb fucks. Glad you finally cottoned on.
Are you good or are you gonna hurt them?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I.
Oh, wait a minute.
A, B, C, D, E, F, F.
Satori missed the F and Cody actually got her to start the alphabet again. I know this is easy to say in hindsight and all, but how did anyone believe this bullshit? Number 5. Side-Eye Guy visits the Conjuring House. In 2024, I got to visit my fair share of haunted locations in both America and Australia. And on the very tail end of 2024, I will be collaborating with Beardo, Mythos, and Mr. Grey at the Ancient Rams Inn. So, subscribe to the Side-Eye Guy channel to make sure you catch that video. I feel in doing these paranormal investigations makes me a better debunker. I get to test the equipment and just the overall feel of doing an actual ghost hunt. It also makes me realise that the sheer number of channels that claim to have paranormal activity week in, week out are really talking out of their arse. But out of all the locations I visited, I got to visit the one and only Conjuring House. And I may well have milked this because I ended up getting 3 videos out of it. Also, one of the great things about doing all these ghost hunts is I got to meet so many other great content creators. While at the Conjuring House, I was with Entity 7 Paranormal Joe Vitale and Weeping Willow Paranormal, and we had a great time. So, out of the top 10 list, I ended up focusing on this video right here, mainly because it got the most views. So, let's skip to the last thing we had to do before even setting foot inside the Conjuring House. Sign the waiver, which might sound like a boring standard kind of thing to do, but when you actually read this waiver, it's insane. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but let's just focus on the important bits. It starts off with warnings of weak, uneven, and even broken floorboards, which is all pretty standard when you see the age of this house. But of course we get into stuff like violent spiritual attacks, attachments, and even objects, spirits, or other people falling on or striking you. Yeah, okay, whatever that means. But at number 25, we get the very real danger of wild animals. But of course, the Conjuring House even has to take this too far. And all wildlife known or unknown, including Bigfoot and extraterrestrials.
What's going on, man?
I mean, for the love of God. I have never heard anyone ever claim that Bigfoot is even in Rhode Island, let alone around the Conjuring House. And we're even talking about aliens now. Jacqueline Nunez and the Conjuring House team are just trying their absolute best to shoehorn in as much dumb paranormal bullshit into this waiver as they possibly can. And honestly, I felt embarrassed signing my name onto that waiver. Number 4. The Paranormal Files. Well, the debunk in this video was more about Heidi, the eccentric owner of the OP Pal house. There were some pretty crazy antics for her in this video, but I'm going to focus more on the debunk I made instead.
I wasn't ready to leave her.
Because you're a quack.
After this video, I got chatting from Colin of the Paranormal Files, and we both ended up changing our thumbnails on our respected videos. And I like to think that we both learned a thing or two about this little exchange. This right here is a good example of debunkers and ghost hunters finding some common ground.
This right here is the point of activity. And I think throughout history, as we go along and learn of the history, we'll see that there's really no specific thing about the porch. It's the land. It's about the land, because the land holds so much wonderful, wonderful, rich opportunities of historical relevance.
Yes, let's get into Heidi's version of the history of this land.
The property site is on a 2-block area where about approximately 600 unmarked graves have been noted.
For those of you who watched my last Paranormal Files debunk video, you may be getting some deja vu with Steve, the eccentric owner of the House of the Dead, who made some very similar claims about his haunted house sitting on unmarked graves.
There's 100 bodies that are still here.
Which I proved was nonsense. And I had a sneaking suspicion the same may well be the case for Heidi. So I started researching into Heidi's claim that her house sits on a 2-block radius where around 600 unmarked graves were discovered. I was looking and looking to try and confirm anywhere online that could confirm this, and the only sources I could find kept coming back to Heidi. So I started searching in the local historical newspaper, but still nothing. Then I found a historical repository that had the town's historical papers, and finally I found what I believe was the original story that Heidi had stolen and used for herself. The text of this article might be a little bit difficult to read since it's such an old paper dating back to 1944, but you can see the title clear as day, marking about 600 unmarked graves at Sand Springs nearly completed. Here is Sand Springs Cemetery. There's about a 4 miles distance between this cemetery and the OP Pal house. In my opinion, Heidi stole this story to make her haunted house sound more credible. The article itself is about the tireless efforts of J.H. English, who dedicated himself to getting markers on all of these unmarked graves in the cemetery, so they are no longer unmarked. But of course, Heidi doesn't acknowledge J.H. English's achievements or dedication whatsoever. Number 3. The Boys. The only good thing I can take away from this video is I got to meet Adelaide Haunted Horizons, and even that was a bloody chore. But since I went to the Adelaide Jail with Adelaide Haunted Horizons, I was able to obtain some inside information on this location, since I was actually there, of course. And after I watched the boys' video after they had been to Adelaide Jail, it became very clear just how much of a bunch of dicks they were at this place.
Dead woman walking. $25. Not now. Free.
The reason they found this so funny is because this is the Adelaide Jail storage area for the staff members. The boys should not have access to this small room. I just hope they didn't actually steal that book. But when you realise that these guys somehow gain entry into these areas that they have no business or right to get into, and they just laugh about it, then, at least to me, they just come across like a bunch of assholes. Number 2. Steve's House of the Dead. The first video I did on Steve was in 2023 when the Paranormal Files visited, and in 2024 I got to revisit good old Steve when Nightmare Nation and Dawson Tola investigated that house. I'm going to ignore when Twin Paranormal went there because, you know, I just really don't want to watch any more Twin Paranormal than I have to. So, long story here, but Nightmare Nation and Dawson Tola were not very happy after I made my video on them at the House of the Dead. We ended up getting chatting after my video and we kind of became friends. And actually went on a ghost hunt ourselves at Brushy Mountain when I was in Tennessee. I'm hoping in 2025 all of us will get to go to Steve's House of the Dead together. Because now this has become a bucket list thing for me. I really want to go see the House of the Dead for myself.
When grown men verbally and formally introduce themselves to a children's doll, I lose all hope in humanity. But since we're on the Sesame Street Dirty Gertie, there is a debunk from the Paranormal Files episode that I missed the first time round. So Steve says this about the cheap doll he probably bought off eBay.
This doll is linked to Nazi history.
This doll is from the Nuremberg trials. The Dirty Gertie is from my grandfather was in the Nuremberg trials.
Isn't it strange that Steve says his grandfather was in the Nuremberg trials without any context or clarification? Because from what he says there, me personally, I'm assuming his grandfather was a Nazi. And if that is the case, for me personally, I don't think I'd ever want to bring that up, especially not casually on a YouTube video where hundreds of thousands of people are going to see it. And if your grandfather was not a Nazi and involved in the trials in a different way, wouldn't you want to clarify that very clearly? Wouldn't you want to preserve the honor of your grandfather? I'd rather my grandfather be the T-boy for the Nuremberg trials than for anyone to think he was a Nazi. Anyway, from what we read from the text that Colin was kind enough to film for us, that Steve's granddad, according to the fictional story that Steve for some reason framed, was in fact a translator in the Nuremberg trials for one Nazi officer. And this one Nazi officer had previously confiscated this doll from a Jewish family, and then that family subsequently went to a concentration camp. And the German officer later gave this doll as a gift to Steve's granddad. So obviously this is bullshit, but in order to prove it, I found this article about translators in the Nuremberg trials. I won't go into too much detail because it is pretty dense, but I will link this article in the description because it really is a fascinating read. But in short, there was a very complicated system to interpret all the different languages being used simultaneously to conduct the Nuremberg trials, since the judges were American, British, Russian, and French, and they also needed it in German for the prosecutor's defendants. As I say, this was a very complicated and very well thought out process to make these trials go ahead. It wasn't as simple as one individual translator would be assigned to one defendant. That's the kind of thing an idiot like Steve would oversimplify. And what is absolutely certainly nobody involved in that trial would be handing over gifts to anybody. And to suggest that that is a thing is frankly absolutely ridiculous. So Steve is lying about his grandfather, and he is lying about the unsung heroes who helped translate the Nuremberg trials. The doll is obviously not haunted, and the whole backstory is bullshit. And much like all of other Steve's bullshit claims, very, very tasteless.
When all said and done, I have shown that Danny, the Haunted Hunt, got one of his blogger mates to write a hit piece article about how bad debunkers are. Danny asked his followers to boycott all debunking channels. He called me a liar when I clearly did not lie about anything regarding Psych Hotel. Danny demanded another channel to start deleting comments. My Haunted franchise attempted to copyright claim The Shape. And after all of this, we are supposed to pay Danny and My Haunted franchise some kind of respect that they think they've earned.
Are you delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness?
I don't like this. Where'd he come from?
He's also like really f***ing old.
God damn, these girls are just the worst. They are really awful people. Bear in mind, Peter is giving them a personal guided tour at God knows what time of night. And he's doing it because he's just being a nice guy.
Who owns this place? Not him. That's not the guy. I told you. What the f***? Tell me out. Huh? That's not the guy. It's not? Where did he come from? Where did he go? Where did he come from? Conjuring. I'm gonna tweet out, this might be the last time that we ever get seen alive.
Right, so this is my theory, and it is just a theory. I have to stress, I have no facts to back this up. But since these girls don't know who Peter is, and he is the owner of this property, I think the girls may very well have broken into Talem Town to make this stupid video. Peter, being the old school Aussie gentleman that he is, would have seen a group of young ladies, and instead of getting angry and calling the police on them, he would have just treated them very nicely, because they are young women. And he is just off a generation of that's how you treat young women, when clearly they are not deserving of this kind of treatment because they have not reciprocated it whatsoever to Peter. The lack of respect for this guy is mind-blowing. Peter would not have left the alarms on knowing full well that there was a group of paranormal investigators on his property at night. Since he has been running Talem Town for most of his life, he would know not to keep the alarms on. Also, Adelaide Haunted Horizons are the only group allowed to conduct paranormal investigations in Talem Town. But if I am wrong and the girls did not break into Talem Town, then the girls saying that he is not the owner and being scared by his presence is all just an act, and they are lying to create drama to make Peter look like a crazy old man who may do them harm.
What a bunch of bitches.
So either way, these girls are just the fucking worst.
As the figure disappears, I immediately go into a very strange trance, and I don't recall the things I start saying.
I love Zach. The bloke's a maniac.
I love you. I love you.
Okay. Maybe it's time for the rest of the crew to slowly back away from Zach and just leave him be.
I love you too. I felt nirvana. I felt ecstasy. I felt an escape from everything. I felt so great. I felt like I wanted to have sex.
Bombastic side eye.
You know that's crazy.
No,
Sex
it's
is a
not
part-
crazy.
Sex is a part of life. I don't care.
No, you're
not supposed to be funny.
No, you're right. Going into a trance and telling a room full of your work colleagues that you want to have sex isn't funny. Well, it's kind of funny. Come on, Zach, it's fucking hilarious. Trust me, mate, you want this to be funny, because if it's not funny, you're just that creepy guy at work. And number 1, Mackie and Amanda. I mean, it had to be really, didn't it? I'm not talking about that Halloween special where I showcase just how bad my self-loathing can get to attempt such a stunt. No. This was in fact the second video I uploaded in 2024, and it ended up being the birthplace of the Grim Reaper. I had absolutely no idea this would take off the way it did. You guys love this joke. You wanted merch, you wanted me to say it in all of my live streams, I got Grim Reaper fan art, I got people dressing as the Grim Reaper for Halloween. It was awesome. Even Mackie and Amanda liked it.
Can you say, did you see this one? Grim Reaper! Hope that was good. Hope that's what you were looking for. The Grim Reaper.
So anyway, before I play this last clip, I just want to say it has been a great year, and I want to thank each and every one of you who has stuck with me. I hope you all have a brilliant Christmas and a fantastic New Year. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button, because I'm sure 2025 will be even more insane. So, it's a ta very much from me, and a big fat cheerio!
Looks like the Grim Reaper, but like not like the Grim Reaper.
It's like the Grim Reaper, but it's not like the Grim Reaper. Ugh, like I know that this might be rich coming from me because I've got quite an annoying voice, but these two, Jesus Christ.
I'm coming out there.
I'm coming out.
You sitting in this chair?
No, why would you say that?
You said he was sitting right there.
Oh no.
I'm just
He's sitting right. Well, when I first came out, he was in the corner, kind of over there.
Something I didn't mention in my last video because I thought it might have been a little too harsh, but so many of you in the comments said it that it's now become a bit of an elephant in the room at this point. So I have to bring it up in this video. They both seem high as a kite. I've heard they're both on medical marijuana, which, you know, good for them. I'm not going to shame anyone for that. As far as I'm concerned, have at it. But all I have to ask is, if you do take medical marijuana often, is there no way you could plan ahead so you can do your content sober? Surely you don't have to be high all day, every day. It would make your videos less tedious if you were actually sober.
So where is he now?
He's still over there in the corner.
What's your name?
Stop!
I'm trying.
So the video has just started, and apparently there is a Grim Reaper type spirit in the balcony of their hotel room. There are over 970 rooms at Disneyland Grand Californian Hotel, and Mackie and Amanda just so happen to get a room with a Grim Reaper spirit in it. Or does every room come with its very own Grim Reaper? Is it like a Disneyland Grand Californian Hotel room amenity? So this Grim Reaper thing that isn't the Grim Reaper, but just looks like the Grim Reaper, seems to hang out at Disney's Grand California Hotel balconies. Doesn't hang out in Disneyland, but hotel balconies. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Not